Well, I got to say this. May I drop the name Mort Saul?
One of our heroes.
I remember back Basin Street East when that political scene was a mess.
Hip reference.
And he said, you think about it, the founders of this country, people like Lincoln, and we had Franklin, and we had Washington, and Madison, and so on. And look what we have today. What can we learn from this? Darwin was wrong.
You're one of my heroes. One of the reasons I'm in show business is because you, when you had your talk show in the 60s and you had on Lunton Fontaine and the Burtons and John Lennon and Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and Brando, and for people like me, I don't know if there's, I'm sure there's more, but it was like that was the hip show. And we all like Johnny. We're not disparaging Johnny. But
me too.
We watched you and taped Johnny on reel-to-reel, actually reel-to-reel tape.
Yeah.
But the thing that amazes me now is that your voice, your perception of what's going on in our culture is still as sharp as ever, and I greatly enjoy reading your pieces in the Times. There's one I want you to talk about if you don't mind, or any of them, but one in particular, something I didn't know, is that you went to Yale, which everybody knows, but in the 50s, right?
Yes, but I'm having a chilling feeling of the subject you're about to bring up, but go right ahead.
Well, that's why you're here. When people entered Yale University and other such schools, they had to do certain things, like in the Army, they were inducted. I'm using a euphemism.
In a sense it was, yeah.
So a young Richard Cavett goes to Yale and finds out he has to participate in this induction. What did that entail?
Could I have a drink served to me first? It would make it a lot easier. I know exactly what you're referring to.
You wrote a piece about it, that's why I'm bringing it.
Yes, I did. Online in the Times. I say that for the people who say, I can never find your column in the Times.
Online.
It's online,
yes.
Dummies.
Yes.
I mean, fans.
Yeah, fans.
Okay, here's what happened.
You're 17, you're 18?
Yeah, whatever you are when you're a freshman.
No, so you're 18 years old, you're from Nebraska.
You're from Nebraska, you're awed by the fact that you're in the East, that you came on a train all the way, that you lived the old Grand Central Station beginning of the show and Vermont Tunnel and then Grand, and now you're in New Haven and there's Yale and everything is majestic and awesome. And so you would do just about anything you were told to do, fill this out.
Right.
One day we were called to the gym and we were told that we would all have to go up into a certain room and disrobe and
completely
get up against a wall.
Completely disrobe.
Completely mother naked, as they say in the Midwest. Right. And a guy put pins down the vertebra of your back and you stood against a chart. But the important thing was,
you want to see if you grew in your 4th year there, or no?
I have no idea what most of it was. I'll tell you later, there's a sinister aspect to this. But this was shocking. They taped
pins to your back?
Yeah, and then
for
put
what
them against
purpose?
the wall to check your posture.
Ah, oui, okay.
Your posture. So there you are with a bunch of naked guys you don't know, and it's kind of cold in there, and that reduces how much you impress others in various ways. You know,
shrinkage, we call it.
I think that's called that's the medical term.
Right.
And then individually you are photographed, full frontal, sideways, and backwards.
So ostensibly what you're saying is that there's somewhere thousands of photographs of nude people that went on to become captains of industry, maybe presidents, heroes, doctors, lawyers, whatever.
I did a piece about this and wrote it and did it in the old Merv Griffin show, and people thought I made it all up.
A stand-up piece.
Yeah, and it was called Posture Pictures, and and these were called Posture Pictures. And that if we didn't pass the chart and the lineups and all on the wall, then we would have to go into posture class.
Is that true?
Yes, yes. And if you had lordosis or kyphosis or lardassus or whatever.
Or scoliosis.
You were, yeah. But it was humiliating.
But now your posture was good, so you didn't have to go.
I was exempt. Apparently it was okay.
Now what do you there's something sounds very Aryan and Germanic about this.
That's subtle of your mind, because it turns out years later, it was discovered that this went on, not only at Yale, but at Wellesley and at other Ivy League
skirts had to do
schools,
it too?
and
I
some
mean, women had to do it too?
Women had to do it too.
And then you said years later they found a cache of these?
I opened the New York Times one day. A man decided to trace down these things.
Right.
And was assured immediately by Yale and other places, oh, that's all gone, that's over, that was a mistake, that's all destroyed. They're not. He found them. He found them in various places. He found them from Wellesley, from Vassar. He probably got Jane Fonda's.
Who hasn't?
And he also found them in the Smithsonian, where tons of them had been donated somehow as archival stuff. But as you said, astutely, this means that, you know who goes through Yale and Wellesley and the captains of industry, male and female, people in prominence in various fields, from show business to investment world, and CEOs and members of the administration are recorded for all time with, as Sid Caesar said in a sketch once, with your Sherry Netherlands hanging out.
Now, did anyone ever say, I'm not doing this? Did anyone ever say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
That's, you've hit it.
That could never happen today. In the 50s,
oh God, yes.
In the 50s, you could do anything if somebody came in with a clipboard and a white jacket.
The words bleep you would leap to everyone's lips. Take this, Yale, and stick it in your curriculum.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. Nobody protested. One of the many letters that came into my column in the Times online were saying, isn't it amazing nobody protested? One person wrote, you were wrong, Mr. Cavett. This never happened at Wellesley.
Oh, wow.
I know because my sister went there. But Nora Ephron's graduation speech after Wellesley when she was there describes posture pictures of the humiliation of them when she was there. Yeah.
So did we ever find out why they did it?
Yes.
Can you tell us?
It had a very sinister aspect.
That was my impulse.
He's named in the column, and I can't think of it now, but some semi-quack sociologist sold a theory to the schools that this was a very important study that might influence the history of the country as we studied the somatotypes, an ancient word.
Oh, ecto, endo, all that bullshit.
That's it, endomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph.
An ectomorph is?
Well, an ectomorph was the thin sort of person.
Egghead, right?
It's sort of cerebral.
Thin and cerebral.
The mesomorph was what, in fact, Woody Allen actually is. People would think of him as an ectomorph, but he's very athletically built. And then that leaves out the endomorph, who was rather pear-shaped and tub-like.
But these are all mythical, kind of vague.
Well, he said they meant everything. It bordered on eugenics, the
well,
the
that's
Nazi
where
term.
I was going.
That's why your mind went
now,
to
here's what's interesting.
Stuttgart there.
What's interesting about eugenics is the Germans got the idea from us. We started eugenics in this country in the 20s. And we actually sterilized mentally retarded people and crippled people. We had a whole program here. And the Germans were kind of, Anyway.
Well, Mr. Belzer, if you don't like it here in America, go back where you came from.
They go, how could you elect him twice,
Yeah, we didn't. We elected him once.
Yeah, well, no, we didn't even do that. The Supreme Court did.
Yeah.
He won 5-4 that
right.
election.